All right, everyone, and hello, and welcome to the Damien and Danielle download. It's been a minute since we've been on. In fact, we skipped the entire month of December because we were so busy with holidays. How are you doing, Damien?
Great. Yeah, thanks, Danielle. Yeah, really good. So we are so in Australia, we're in the middle of our Australian summer. So it's the big long school holidays and that connected to Christmas and New Year's. So we are in the middle of that, and yeah, been having a great time. Took a little time off, and back at it now. And yeah, it's an exciting year in front of us.
I agree with you. It is definitely an exciting year, and December was a good month for everyone to kind of, well, I don't know. We didn't really slow down over here. In fact, I
No.
think all the stuff that we're about to talk about will show that we didn't really get to slow down. But it is exciting that you got to take a couple weeks off and kind of decompress, enjoy your summer while we're over here, you know,
Yeah,
in winter.
you're very good. We've got a full agenda today, don't we?
We do
We got a
have a
bunch of
full
things to talk
agenda.
about.
Yes, we do. So let's jump right in. We'll start
Yeah,
with, as always, our favorite portion of the Damien and Danielle download, the release and highlights from the past. I guess it's been, yeah, since December, so a little
probably.
bit of time. So let's get in it. What do we got? What's up first?
Okay, first of all, we've got it's a small one, but we've got a the client number now column that's been added to the new clients report. And this was a request that had been there because people want to be able to match up on that report and have the numbers identified so they can match it with other things. So that is now on there. So that is out and done. It's not a big one, but important for those who use client numbers a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Next up here, and I've got my iPad right here, right, with all these things listed, right? So I
He's
can
cheating. He's
I
cheating.
am
That's
cheating. I
okay.
am. The number two, we've got so now when it's just another small security feature, but we're always looking at ways that we can improve things. So if a password now is updated, via reset link or from within the app, a an email is now sent to the registered to the user whose thing has been updated, just notifying. You see that in a lot of apps, where you will change, some important piece of information, and then you get an email saying, "Hey, this has been changed." If it wasn't you, like, hey, then go in and reset it and so forth. So we didn't have any, we haven't had any issues that kind of led to this. Like sometimes when we put new features, and there might have been a particular event or a trigger, but it was just part of our kind of reviewing of of security, and thought that would be a good addition, so that if there is any kind of change made, then we make sure that the user is being notified.
It's
And
just the best practice.
99.999 times it will be
Yeah.
them who made the change. But anyway, it's just
I think
a
that's great.
uh,
Yeah, I always get those notifications. So I think that's a really smart, security update and something
yeah.
that will be a good benefit for the user. So I like it.
Yep, exactly. Okay, now the next thing is we've added some new fields in there, and there's two types. So there is the a practice type field and a
Hmm.
provider type field.
Okay.
So these are, so when we think about practice type, we're looking at, like, are they a psychology practice? Are they a physio? Are they a multidisciplinary team? Are they massage therapists? Are they dietetics, dietitians? So that's looking at what does that practice do? What is the sort of dominant profession or the service that that practice provides, and that's kind of set in the. I think we'll have some notes that will go out to show you how to do it, but it can be set up very easily in the configuration area,
Right.
and it just at a practice level you can set it there. So that's kind of the overview. Then
Right.
for each practitioner, so each calendar, the field, there's a new field in there, provider, type, and that will have that same list of professions where you can say this provider is a psychologist, this provider is a physio, this provider is a whatever they might be, and so that sort of data has been stored in relation to what each practitioner does and what each account, if you like, each company does, each practice that works with us. Now, the reasons behind this because
This is
the
very smart. It's very smart. I think it's actually smart that you can go ahead and set a practice type because,
yeah
you might be a psychology practice in general, but perhaps the provider, the practitioner, maybe you've got a massage therapist at your practice. So being able to go ahead and allow them to select their own, type of, provider type, that's very
yeah.
smart. Now,
And
why did we do this?
well, there's a bunch of reasons, and I think on reflection, we really, if I had my time again, I would have put this in years ago. In fact, right?
Mhm.
Because what it allows us to do is to initially it won't make any changes. When people update those fields, it won't suddenly change the configuration or anything. It won't change anything in the way their account operates. But what it allows us to do is to customize the experience for
Mhm.
people to better match their profession. So over time, so let's just think, for example, let's say a practice is a physio practice, right? And that's all they do is just pure physio. Okay. At the moment, when we send out maybe newsletters, hints, and tricks, when we populate libraries of templates and all sorts of things, letter templates, note templates. We don't know at the moment, which user is which type of practitioner, and
Right.
even what account is which type. So what it allows us to do is to be able to say, okay, this practice is a physio practice. So let's populate that practice or provide content that is relevant directly to physios, right?
Right.
And then not be then sending out information or populating accounts with data that is not going to be directly relevant, right, to that. So it sort of allows us to be more targeted. And then also, with our communication, so our newsletters and our, there can be sometimes updates that might, then we might be aware of a legal change that's coming through that's in one geographical region and affects one type of practitioner or one profession, right?
Right.
And so at the moment, we've either got the choice of not communicating that or communicating that to all people within that region, all customers and users within the region. And that changes the threshold a bit of, whether we send that, because we don't want to like spam people with content
Mm-mm.
that isn't relevant, to them, because that's annoying, right? So this kind of will allow us to sort of have the data to be able to say, okay, look, there's a law change coming through for this part of the US or this part of Australia, or UK often there across the whole, UK wide, and be able to say, okay, look, this is relevant for this particular profession, and we can send out targeted information
Awesome.
to that. And the same with some features and things, they may have more relevance for a particular profession, or it might meet a particular need. And most things are usable, are useful for all types of practitioners,
All
but there are
allied
some
health
things.
professions. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time, and that's sort of part of our thinking when we're adding things in, about not just sort of adding things that would clutter it, that a sort of a niche thing for one, but there are times where there's or even a particular way of using a feature that a particular profession may use that feature in a way that's extremely helpful. But if we send that out to everyone, well, that's not relevant for most, for everyone else who's not in that profession. So so it's really good. It's exciting to get this out there. We'll be also collecting this information now when people sign up initially for they start using Power. It'll be part of that sign up process that will collect that. But for everyone who's currently using Power, what we'd like people to do is to go in and update that in their calendar section. So go into each practitioner and just update to say what they are, and then also go into the account configuration, which is sort of under that setup. The setup and then configuration that's in there,
Yep.
and then be able to to update it, and that way it'll ensure people don't miss out. Like, so that if we're sending out something that is for psychologists or for physios in Canada, then
Absolutely.
they'll actually make sure that they get it. So
We're laying
yeah, so
the
that's
we're
that.
laying a foundation to go ahead and provide all of our customers with better information that is more relevant to them and their practice or their provider, and
Yeah,
also setting us up so that when our, development team completes a feature that is specific for a practice type or provider type,
Yeah.
We can, work that in that, this is the evolution of Power Diary and how we continue to improve and make things better. So if
Yeah.
you're looking or you're not sure where to go ahead and find those two fields, I've got a great video that I've already created. It was in the last newsletter that we sent out. I'll go ahead and we'll attach it to this, like the link in the bio here. So you can go ahead and watch that video as well. So you know how, if you have any, sometimes it takes a minute to find something. So I made you a little video, but yes, definitely get in there for all the reasons you just discussed, but help us help you. At the end of the day, this is definitely going to benefit everybody, and we're laying some great foundation work here.
And we'll actually be able to be able to show in-app messages too that will utilize this to say, okay, we want to alert all especially in a particular region of a particular change, and we'll actually be able to do that in app when
Awesome.
when we're able to narrow that down. So because we don't want to disturb everyone by putting a message in that's not relevant.
And,
so
I think you said it right. We don't want to spam everybody when a legislation comes down in Australia for psychologists, and it's not going to affect all the other allied health professions, but it's very important to that segment. We don't want to spam you. So help us. I think it's definitely going to be such a benefit for everybody down the line. So get in there and do it. And I know there was some work involved in that, and the team did a great job getting it out there. So good job.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's awesome to have that out and live. Okay, the next thing for us to talk about is this is a big one. So this is diagnosis codes. And being able to record the diagnosis within the client record and have a separate section for that. And there's a few components to this. So at a high level, in the past, when recording a diagnosis, people would typically put it within their progress notes or their clinical notes, right? So, or session notes, depending on the region and what people refer to them. But in their notes, and they would write a diagnosis in there. And diagnoses get updated, they get changed, people go into remission, it resolves, sometimes it's more information, there's a new diagnosis. And historically, that information can kind of get buried in the notes. And so there hasn't been a central place to be able to see what the diagnostic history is of a patient or a client. So the new feature now that's in the client record, and I believe we have a nice video we'll be able to share with people about this. Yeah, it allows a dedicated spot to be able to kind of record that and to be able to sort of have that history there. So that's really, really wonderful. So that's the first kind of component of that. Now, within the diagnosis, there are codes, right? So we know that there are different if you like, we've got like different coding systems that are utilized, and we've actually pre-populated using DSM codes.
ICD-10 codes.
ICD-10. My apologies. I've got DSM on my mind because that's the one we are wanting to also add in as well. So we have. Thank you for that correction. That's okay.
That's okay.
I'm thinking. I was like, okay. Next, I'm going to talk about DSM. So yes, ICD is in.
Yes, it is.
DSM, we would like to be able to add. There is, some complications, like in terms of getting a full, thing. But you can also add in, if you're using a different coding system, you can actually add in your own, custom codes that you use and get them in there. So we have a library of them preloaded. That's great.
Yep.
And you can do this.
Yes, there's like 3,000 ICD-10 codes preloaded in the system. And, as everyone knows, these are international diagnostic codes. So they're used all over the world. They were created by the World Health Organization. So there would be across the board, you could, no matter where you were, that code would translate, across the world. So if you moved from one country to the next, you pulled over your patient records, that diagnostic code, wherever you went, would relate back to your new practitioner. So that's why we chose those codes. And those are already, like you said, uploaded into the system and ready for use. Now, if, like you said, you want to use these DSM codes, or maybe you're on ICD 11, which is the next iteration of the ICD 10 code. So it's like next, and it's not widely used as the ICD 10 codes are right now. You can go ahead and create your own custom list of these codes, and you can start adding the codes in, from the field. And again, go and watch my video. I show you exactly how to do it. So you can start adding them in, or you can just create the list and you can add, if that gets cumbersome, because that can be cumbersome. I mean, there's a lot of codes, right? And you might not use all those codes. So you can just create the list. And then as you're adding the diagnosis to your client or patient record, you can then on the fly first search it, because maybe one of your colleagues has already added it in, and the search field is amazing. You just can put in a description or a code number and it will pull up whatever's in the system. And so if you put stress, you'll get all the codes related to stress, yours and the preloaded ones. And so you can search, but if it's still not in there, right there's a button right underneath it, and you can add it on the fly to your listing, and it will be available to all the practitioners within your practice. So super, super smart when they did that. And the best part is, if you do not want your diagnosis on an invoice, or you don't, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about the third. So the third component to this is that you can have the diagnosis appear on the invoice, so that there is a connection between the service that's been provided and the diagnostic and the diagnosis that has been treated and been targeted by that service. Now, the reason behind this this particular change and being able to add this in is that we're seeing in the different sort of regions, the people may have multiple diagnoses. They may have funding for treatment for particular diagnoses from particular sort of agencies and invoices and so forth. And there is a movement towards needing to be able to show that this particular intervention that has been billed, this service, was targeting this particular diagnosis. So it might be an accepted diagnosis by the insurance provider and so forth. Right? So we're seeing that. So this allows that to occur. And then, of course, in the US, for this is actually a requirement, right, to be able to link these things. And you perhaps can talk a little bit more about that side of things. But it's critical for a lot of their claiming.
Yeah. In order to be reimbursed by an insurance company, the diagnosis has to be attributed to the service. So we had workarounds for this in the past, but it wasn't very clear. So now, with you being able to go ahead and, add the diagnosis to the patient record, once it's on that patient record, it will now be visible for you to add to the invoice. And if there's multiple, you can add, if the treatment was for multiple diagnoses, you can add that and it will all show. Or if you want to set one as default, you don't have to go and edit the invoices. It will automatically populate that default code to the treatments that are being received. And again, it can be removed. So if there was a case where they came in for a treatment, but it didn't relate to that default code, you could remove it or add a different one or add another on, however you see fit. But in order for you to get reimbursed in the states in particular, you do need to have that information on the invoice. And then back to that super bill that is generated, it will all populate there as long as you put it on the invoice. So it has to be on the invoice. So you add it to the invoice, and then it will populate back to that big super bill that they then submit to their insurance provider, and they get the reimbursement. But I think, what's brilliant is, if it's something you do not need, you simply can click it off and remove it. If you don't even want to see that field, so you don't want to see it, just don't add a diagnosis to your client record. That field isn't even going to come up on the invoice. But
Yeah.
if you add the diagnosis, that's okay. It won't go on there unless it's default. That's the only time
Yeah.
it will automatically go on that invoice. And if you go to see an invoice, you would have to select it to add if it's not default. So
Yeah.
it's a great feature. It is, I mean, I could not even imagine how cumbersome it would be to kind of go back into your notes to try to find where you wrote down what the diagnosis is. This is such a quick find. And I mean, imagine if you know, the practitioner is not there today and another practitioner were to step in and, like, you know, need to treat the patient.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to go and look. Now that it's very clear and able for them to find it. So I really think this has like across the board benefit. I'm really excited about it. I know the team worked really, really hard on it. And I mean, it makes so much sense. And I'm really glad that it has come out and we have made this available for all of our customers to choose to use or choose not to use.
And it helps too with compliance that there's there's an ongoing kind of drive, you know, and it's in across all major sort of Western markets, at least, around making health data interpretable and transportable and so forth, so that people can change practitioners or can change health provider, can change, and that the key information is able to be either transmitted, obviously, you know, securely, or being able to be, you know, exported and be easy to interpret, right? And you know, this is sort of one of the things that, you know, one of the reasons when looking at this kind of this particular feature too, that being able to see the diagnostic history clearly is sort of considered one of the important pieces of information that people should be able to, different practitioners should be able to pick up and all the rest of it. And so having it kind of buried in the notes, you know, it wasn't, I mean, it was still within, you know, it's still okay to do that, you know, it's not, but it's sort of going against somewhat the you know, the trend of where the requirements are kind of heading, if you like, and what the regulations around this is, sort of what the intent of those regulations is, say, okay, you know, they're really trying to ensure that people don't feel like that their medical history and the treatment history is kind of being held, you know, captive by a practitioner or by a health provider. And if they were dissatisfied, the idea is that people should be able to move easily, right? And so being able to have,
is that called right of information or so there?
It's in there's each region actually has these different kind of ways in which they kind of you know, refer to it. But there's like in pretty much everywhere when we sort of look at it, the compliance side, what is the intent of some of this legislation, that you'll find this kind of kernel of, you know, needing to make your data, they call it like transportable or interoperable, you know, various things, but essentially it says, you know, make information available to be read and understood easily by another, you know, practitioner. So you know, it's by adding this in, you know, it's sort of, I guess, another way of keeping ahead of the curve. Like, we don't want to wait until it's a, you know, a mandated requirement for everyone and then, you know, be scrambling to kind of add in, you know, a feature. So it's so it's really doing this. It's taken the team been working on it for quite some time, because it's more complex than it sort of initially looks, you know, to the way that kind of operates, and be able to make it, you know, usable and have the library of preloaded ones so people don't have to enter in.
And I think I think as it keeps growing and as, you know, we get more adoption, we'll have the ability to upload even more codes if there's enough calling for it. I think there is, you know, that would all be in the plan as we continue, as Power Diary continues to grow. And I'm just, again, I'm selfishly really excited because it's something I've known that was very important for our customers. And I'm really, I mean, great job, engineers. I'm proud of you. And I really hope that everybody will get, as now that you have a really good understanding, we've got some videos out of it, and I'll add, again, we can add them to this as well, but you'll see it in your newsletters, and we're going to send out a dedicated email. So you should be receiving that if you haven't already received it. So we'll get you all the information out there so you can understand it, figure out how to set them up on the fly. And also, I got another video on how to add it to super bills for our US customers as well, because that is important. So great job. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
And I know this was huge. So awesome job. Now let's go in. Unless you got anything else to say about that.
I was just going to add one more thing. We'll obviously get when we put a feature out, we get lots of feedback, but and so we're always guided by that. But I can imagine that one of the natural things that will come out of this is the ability down the track to utilize it for reporting, and to be able to look at what the profile of diagnoses and so forth are within a particular practice, because that it's quite helpful from lots of ways, like professional development and looking at, okay, what are we treating, and what sort of skills can we help perhaps new practitioners who are joining the practice, we can give them an idea of what that might look like. All the way, to looking at how what referral patterns are, and what there might be whole areas of the market that are not being captured, types of injuries, types of conditions, and in fact we're not actually seeing. Why not? And then so it's exciting. I know we're talking about it a bit, but there's so many different ways that this functionality can really benefit.
Such a positive, really exciting feature, and I mean, it's just really great work, and it's good stuff. So I didn't even think about the reporting aspect of it. That's great. So let's get into this next one, which is not necessarily a feature, but it is something everybody has been asking for. So Damien, why don't you tell us about this great new thing?
Okay, so we've got a sort of a public roadmap, and looking at some of the kind of basically where we're looking at what is in development, and what is sort of about to be released. And so this is our sort of first iteration of this, if you like, to be able to provide a way where people can go and they can have a look at, okay, what's coming out shortly, and what sort of next, off the rank, if you like, and that's sort of something that our product team will be updating on a regular basis, and where people can go and have a look at that. Now it won't include there's so many things getting worked on. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes, that happens, and there's some sort of smaller things that we are doing all the time that
all the time.
So it's not going to have every single thing that is being kind of worked on, or because it would become sort of unwieldy.
It would be unreadable. You would spend hours on it with everything that the team is working on, but it does provide you with really good guidance as to what are the big stuff, the big things, the medium things that we're working on, that the team is working on, the development team is working on. And it's a place that you can go and you can see, and we can show you your voices are being heard. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, your voices are 100% being heard. So this is a great place for you to go and see that visually. And also, if you go on the very first tab of this, and it's been released, so you can find it on our Facebook group, you can find it on our Facebook page, you can find it on our release notes page on powerdiary.com. So you can go there and you can find this roadmap. But under the please read section, which is on the far left-hand side, you will see there is actually a place where you can click and you can submit your feature request as well. So you just click it will take you to a form. You can fill out your feature request. You don't have to go ahead and email customer service anymore or put it up on the Facebook group. You can go ahead and submit it right there, and that will go back to our dev team and be recorded and then added to the roadmap as we get enough, votes for it, or, enough inquiries. And we get lots of, queries for, new features, which is fantastic. Obviously we try to do them all. Oh, there's only so many hours in the day.
we did, I would say, I would probably put a qualifier on that and say, look, we have we get so many, what we look at, there's a whole kind of matrix, if you like, of things, but we'll look at what are the features are going to add sort of the most kind of value day to day, to people, that will kind of impact the most. There's so many things that we would love to do that are quite niche, where we go, we really get it for that particular maybe practitioner or practice. They've got a particular process, and in real, like if we were, so those things we actually still track it and we still monitor it, but we're not, obviously in a position to be able to build out, everything, and we'll try and let people know that, like, and say, hey, okay, that's great, we're going to look at that, but what we'll look at, is that kind of that feedback, that we're getting, and then also we'll look more broadly at what the trends, like what we're doing with some of the things we're talking about today, that we like we can see, okay, what the trends might be happening, from a legislation point of view, and go, okay, we want to be kind of in front of that, or if there are changes to how insurances and government funding is working, we want to get those features in. So there's a whole bunch of things that we kind of will look at, and I really, so we do have a whole every piece of feedback we get is captured, and then that roadmap is kind of showing, like, okay, out of that system, these are the things that are soon to be kind of released.
Right.
That are about to.
Yeah, and there's some categories on there, so you'll kind of get an idea of what is in progress, releasing, so you'll be able to see kind of, you'll be able to watch them move around too, because as we get things into the done or the completed category, another one gets to move right in. So really excited about that. I know that within, especially on our Facebook group, and with questions we get to our customer success team, I know this has been something that people have been really keen on for a long time. So I mean, I'm really glad that we're able to get this out there now and get more visibility to all the hard work that they're doing, and because these, it does take time to release a new feature. There's work, you want to make sure it's done correctly. You don't want to release something and it not work properly, so they got to do their checks and balances, they got to make sure that it's tested. So this will just provide visibility. You can see where it is in the process, so really good.
Yeah, that'd be good. It's
Big win.
It's right, and something people have talked about in different ways for a while, they'd be interested in. So anyway, it's a first version, and get it out there, and it's good. It's good. Okay, so, we've got a few more things too, don't we?
We do. We have a couple more things.
Okay.
So this first one I'm really excited about is obviously we really love, everybody loves awards, right? I mean, I love an award. Can I get an award? Where's the Danielle award? No, but this one is, they're the G2 awards, and they do it, every once a quarter. So this is the winter G2 awards. So they do winter, but I know it's summer over there in Australia, but it's now. And so G2, as we've spoken about in the past, is an independent review site. So people go on there, they leave a review about our software, and those reviews allow us to get these great awards. And we got 7 awards.
Yeah, it's amazing, huh?
Yeah, this winter session. So we got Momentum Leader in Mental Health and Medical Practice Management. Awesome. We got High Performer in Physical Therapy, Mental Health, and Medical Practice Management. We got High Performer Small Business for Physical Therapy, Mental Health, and Medical Practice Management. We got Best Results for Mental Health.
Mental Health.
Awesome. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and users are most likely to recommend us for mental health, so that's good. And we got Best Estimated ROI for mental health. So thank you. You guys love us and we love you. So we are, I mean, these awards really are, just it's special. It's special for us internally here at Power Diary to really get these awards, because it makes us know that we're doing the right things and we're on the right track. So that's good. And thank you to everybody that's gone and left us a review. If you haven't done it already, head on over, give us some more reviews, make our team feel warm and fuzzy. That's just one of the ways that really shows all the people behind the scenes, all the people that you see and that you talk to, that, we're doing great work. So to get these awards is awesome. And I'm just really excited that we have gotten so many this time. That's great.
Oh, I think it might be a new record. Is that right? Like
I think it is a new record. It's pretty exciting.
It is lovely. It is lovely. And sometimes, I think I think everyone can kind of relate to this idea that sometimes you're just so you've got your head in the work, so much, and you're always thinking about all the things you want to do, that are in the pipeline, and
Mhm.
it's sort of, I think it's nice sometimes when people take the time to do a review, and then we get these reports, and then we get, if we get these awards, it's it just sort of you can take a breather and go, oh, hang on, we are that this is sort of it's nice, and like you said, for the team it's great too, and so
Yeah,
look, thank you to everyone who has that jumps on there and let's shares their feedback with G2, so that's awesome.
I agree. I agree. All right. So last month we had, what we know, obviously,
Yeah.
if everybody doesn't know, we do webinars every month. And last month you and I got on, and I just kind of jumped in to help it along because so you wouldn't feel lonely on there, really. But this was our favorite Power Diary tips and tricks. Really,
Yeah.
the stars of the show were our customer success team members who really filmed these videos on their favorite internal tips and tricks, things that you might not have known. So I really encourage everybody to head back over. And if you haven't seen that one, go and watch it, because there were so many little, pro tips or little nuances that you just didn't know to do. I mean, there were a couple I was like, I didn't know that, and you're
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
just like, and it's so simple, and it's
Yeah.
right in front of your eyes, but you're just like, I never done that before. And the
Yeah.
customer success team really did a great job, filming those videos. They were the stars, as they should have, as they always are to me. So I mean, I really thought that was a great webinar, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say it was great, and it was. I learn things from the customer success team all the time. Like, because they're working with their customers every single day. And working through how to use Power or in a different way, or improve a workflow, or do something. And it's just lovely. They're just such an awesome team, and the each individual in there really just genuinely likes helping customers, and so it was nice to see them present and talk about things,
And
and we
and
yeah.
it wasn't all of them. We still have some other reps.
Oh,
So
I
I
did.
think down the line, we're going to have to do,
I
something
think we'll do
else.
some more of these. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
get more of them involved, because they really all do shine. So good. Thank
Yeah.
you to the ones that, filmed for that. You guys did great. And don't worry, everybody else. We're coming for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that's right. No, it was good. I've even had feedback, just in well, I was on holidays and things, and someone run into people or whatever, and they're like, oh, they actually commented about, like, oh, I watched that webinar, that and they were commenting about how they enjoyed seeing the custom team. So anyway, it was awesome, and we'll definitely do more of that.
Yes, we will. So what? And
Now we have an upcoming. Yeah,
yes,
I
we
think
do.
last thing here, we have an upcoming one.
Yep.
Uh, and we're looking at goal setting and achieving for health practitioners. And it's
Great
a
way
good
to
time of
start your
year.
year. Great way to
Exactly,
start your year.
exactly. And we're going to talk about a few things, but how to sort of set and stick to both personal and professional goals, and those forgotten New Year's resolutions, right? And we're going to look at both professional and personal. But with Power, our goal always is around helping practices run more smoothly and run more efficiently. And so this
Mhm.
really ties into the stuff that we kind of love and that we're all about. So
Yes.
that's really cool. Some common pitfalls, when it comes to goal setting. We're going to talk about that, and some research-based strategies that that really help. And this is going to be co-hosted with Fiona Harrington, who's head of our strategy, marketing, and growth. Now she's going to join me, and the awesome thing that we're Fiona has done some really amazing things in her
Amazing
life.
things.
She's awesome in lots of ways, but one of the things that she has done is is summited Mount Everest, and she's going to talk a bit about to do that and to achieve that. There's a lot of goal setting. There's a lot of breaking down. There's a lot of kind of eating the elephant, so to speak, and and breaking things down. And so she's going to talk a bit about her experience in doing that, and bring that into this idea. So I'm really looking forward to this webinar. It's going to be a really exciting topic, and to get some of Fiona's insights on this is going to be amazing.
I'm super excited too, because for everybody that doesn't know, and she doesn't talk about it very often, she's the third Australian, like that's a very low Australian woman to summit Mount Everest. Like that's a huge accomplishment. So if anybody knows what it takes to achieve a goal, Fiona is, the one to talk to. So I'm excited to hear that whole story as well. And kind of, this is you guys, you have to come to this webinar. It's going to be really exciting. And I think it will help everybody in the new year to stick to their goals and, to make them achievable, and to really, excel in both your professional and personal life, which is, again, as you said, here at Power Diary, we want to empower health practices. And I think this webinar is just right along, what we stick to, what we want to do, who we are. So good stuff that is coming on the 31st of January or the 1st of February, depending on where you are. There will be, as always, 3 times so that we can hit everybody and everywhere you are. So please get on there and register. We've already got a lot of people registered, but we haven't even told them about the whole Mount Everest story. So I think this is really something, you're going to want to learn about. So awesome.
It'll be good. It'll be really good.
It'll be really good.
I think we had a look at this yesterday. The signups we've only sent out, I think, 1 email about this so far. And I think we're at a record signups already for this webinar. So this is good topic. It looks like there's good interest in it. And it's going to be great fun and learn a lot from Fiona as well. So do
you have a thought of the month for us, Damien? I know you looking at your cheat sheet, you didn't write it down, but I think you've got one in there, don't you?
I do. Look, this is the thought of the month. Really, is and a fairly obvious one, I think, for given I've just come off having a bit of leave. Is the importance of doing that, of having that little bit of time off, and because you get perspective, you can reflect on things. I think you sort of come back with, you think you're being efficient, but then often when you take a break and you get that little bit of distance from it, you do get a little bit of clarity around things. You think, oh, that's, in fact, that's not a great use of my time. This is the focus on these things. I'm going to sort of come back sort of, more focused, more, re-energized, in a different kind of way. And I just think I think I have to learn this lesson over and over for some reason. I sometimes lose sight of it myself, but because I enjoy the work and I love it, and I generally I'm usually fairly excited about whatever so what we're working on, because it's always really cool. But I still find actually when I get that kind of break, it probably takes maybe almost a week to kind of disengage a bit, and then kind of to get that. And so no, I'm not saying I've mastered this, because I keep having to relearn it, but anyway, I think it really is it's something that is important. And I think a lot of health practitioners in particular are like that too. They're very close to the work, very enthusiastic, very excited, they love what they do, but that doesn't mean that we don't also need a break. And there's lots of benefits to having a break. So anyway, that's my thought for them.
All right. I think that's a very good thought of the month. I love it. Everybody take a break and continue on in the brand new year. It was wonderful to come on with us. I hope everybody enjoyed coming on with us, Damien. It was wonderful to see you. And I think we went over time, but that's okay. We didn't do December, so that's okay. All right. Well, wonderful. Everyone, until next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.